I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, "That's not what a reasonable person would think." So who is that reasonable person? In this video, we're going to look at the most outrageous argument in court I've ever heard when it comes to the reasonable person test. The reasonable person test is different to beyond reasonable doubt, which is a term that, if you've been watching my videos, has changed in England and Wales. So I'll leave a link below if you have not seen those videos. Let's get started. If you have been following the Gabby Petito's civil lawsuit, great. If not, I've done a video on making sense of their lawsuit brought against Brian Laundries Parents and their attorney. And I will do a brief recap of the tragedy so that you can understand this video, and then you can go back and watch the other videos. So who is the reasonable person? Well, because the fact finder applies this theory, then the judge or jury would have to look to the hypothetical person to evaluate the defendant's conduct. And the subjective test is what is the intent going through the defendant's mind. The objective test is the fact finder must put themselves in the defendant's shoes and ask the question, what would a reasonable person have done in the same circumstances? The reasonable person test is always dependent on the circumstances that existed at the time the defendant acted, and people with special knowledge are held to a standard that takes into account their special knowledge. So in this case, the defendants are the parents of Brian Laundrie, and the co-defendant is their attorney. Let me give you a very brief recap. Then we'll watch the co-defendant's attorney explain their statement. So Brian and Gabby lived with Brian's parents. Gabby bought a van, and her and Brian decided to travel across America. She recorded their journey along the way and posted it on social media platforms, when all of a sudden, her and Brian are seen arguing in public. So a member of the public notified the police. The police found them and pulled them over to find out what was going on. The police assessed the situation, and instead of arresting one of them, they told Gabby to stay at a hotel for the night to allow them time to cool off. They left Brian with Gabby's van. Shortly after this, Gabby is not heard from. Her parents receive a strange text and question what's going on. They are concerned and call Brian's parents. His parents ignore their calls. Not only that, they block them from contacting them by all means of communication, such as Facebook, etc. So Gabby's parents contact law enforcement, and a nationwide search begins. By sheer luck, a family spot Gabby's van. Let's listen to the lady that spotted Gabby's van. If you want to listen to the full clip, then I have left it in the description area below.
Happened upon the Spread Creek camping area. And when we pulled in, we've got double GoPros. So we have one that faces front and one that faces my husband while he's driving. And as we're going in, he talked a little bit and totally forgot to shut the GoPros off. And the GoPros just keep rolling. And we passed by their van, or a white van. And the white van had Florida plates. And we were excited because, like, we're Florida, hometown Tampa Bay.
A search took place where Gabby's van was last seen. This is around the same time the attorney for Brian Laundries' parents make a public statement. Gabby's body was found a short distance away from where her van was spotted. The coroner determined that she had died of strangulation. We then find out Brian Laundrie goes missing. He is later found dead from a self-inflicted single gunshot wound to the head. With his belongings is a confession letter saying that he strangled Gabby after she had fallen, and basically he was implying that it was a mercy killing to put her out of her misery. He later realized that this was a wrong thing to do, and he was sorry. So there is more to the story, as in some of the detail, but this should give you enough to listen to Brian Laundries' parents' co-defendant's attorney explain the statement. So let's listen to see what he has to say.
That the Laundries will not provide additional comment based on the advice of counsel. Now the plaintiffs want to focus on the middle paragraph which is probably why they omitted the other two paragraphs from the complaint. Now, the first sentence of the middle paragraph says that a search was organized in Wyoming. A factually accurate statement. I don't think anybody is disputing that. The second sentence, which says, "We hope the search is successful and Ms. Petito is reunited with her family." Now, the plaintiffs claim that that sentence caused them distress because it made it seem as though Ms. Petito could still be alive. Now, on its face, the statement does not indicate that Ms. Petito was or was not alive. It is an ambiguous general expression of hope. And we've cited a number of sources in our brief where the term reunited is used to describe when a deceased person's remains are returned to family members. That's a term used by the National Institutes of Health, the Reuniting Families Project, the United States Army, and a number of news organizations. Now, the plaintiffs dismiss this fact, but again, the plaintiffs' subjective interpretation of the statement is not what controls. It's the objective interpretation. And those sources that I cited, government agencies and other news organizations, would use that word to describe when a deceased person's remains are returned to their family.
When I first heard that, my mouth actually dropped. I had to rewind and listen again. So let's listen again to that part, and then I will continue playing so that you can hear what the judge had to say.
Those sources that I cited, government agencies and other news organizations, would use that word to describe when a deceased person's remains are returned to their family.
So you're saying from an objective standpoint, a reasonable, prudent person, if they are told, "We hope that Miss Petito is reunited with her family," that the reasonable, prudent person would believe that to objectively mean that her remains would be reunited?
Really, what I'm
in all instances.
I'm not saying I'm not saying in all instances, in all contexts, Your Honor. Really, what I'm saying is that the statement is ambiguous, and so somebody reading that statement would not necessarily immediately jump to the conclusion she must be alive.
Okay.
Oh my, even after listening again, I wondered, what planet are you on? I don't know if you caught the judge's long pause before she asked the very question I was thinking about. And did you catch the hot mic with Gabby Petito's parents? This is so sad. So, how would a prudent, ordinary, reasonable person from planet Earth interpret their statement? Then I found this great article that sums it all up. And if you want to read the full article, you can find it in the link below in the description area. But let me just read you a snippet. Historically, courts referred not just to the reasonable person, but also to the ordinary person. Often courts seem to gesture toward some mixture toward what is common and good. So if we apply the theory of what is common and good, I take this to mean that a reasonable person would not think of the worst scenario. They would think the word reunited meant coming home safe. Given that Gabby was in a delicate situation, having been missing for such a long time, I find it outrageous that the defense would even consider that the word reunited could mean deceased. Please tell me what you think. In my humble opinion, of all people in the world, an attorney ought to have known that the statement would cause emotional distress, especially if they believe their own word to be associated with agencies that use the word reunited to mean deceased, or that it would be ambiguous and have a meaning open to more than one interpretation. Seems pretty intentional to me. I've left links in the description area to the Gabby Petito Foundation. Please pray for all victims of crimes that they receive justice. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Information is power. Please like and share, as you never know who you can help. And if you need legal support, contact us at Legal.minded.Friends. I help litigants in person. I'm a lawyer in the UK, and I work in criminal law, family law, civil law, and will certainly, employment law will be able to help you with whatever worry that you have.